Hey, vinyl community, Jeff here, entering a contest for the other Jeff. Jeff Witcher's having a contest. He had 3,000 subscribers. I'm pretty sure a bunch of them meant to find me, but they clicked on the wrong Jeff, and so that's how he ended up with all my subscribers. But that's fine. We're jumping on this contest for him. So, yeah, so he is looking to do things around 3. Yeah, I will have a link below. You can find out all about it. The contest is going to run actually through November, so you got quite a bit of time to jump on board. And yeah, check it out, the link below. It's based around 3 with the bonus 3. I'm doing a bonus halfway because I don't anyway. So he wants to see 3 albums or 3 albums that we haven't shown on our channel. That's hard, but I had to dig back into some older stuff that was predating my channel, and I figured I don't think I've ever shown these for any reason. And then there's a bonus he could, if you had 3 formats of them. Now, I have one album that I have 3 formats of that I'm pretty sure I've never shown. And the other 2 I have 2 formats of, and that's the reason I chose them, because A, they're older, and I said, hey, I got 2 formats I can show. So first off, we're going to show the HSAS album, Hagar, Shon, Arenson, Shreeve. So this came out back in the 80s. It's a super group: Sammy Hagar, Neil Shon, Kenny Arenson, and Michael Shreeve. Michael Shreeve spent many years in the early 8 albums of Santana. Kenny has played with all kinds of bands. He was in that original band Dust, which has a couple reissues of their old doomy type albums. But he's done time with Joan Jett and some other of those type bands. Of course, Neil we know from Journey, and Sammy from Sammy. They got together and did this more or less, I think it's more or less a live album. There was an MTV live concert, and they do cover tunes and some other not so cover, well, Whiter Shade of Pale and some other stuff. Yeah, I've had this album for a while. I maybe when I scored a copy of this, I showed it briefly, but I don't recall ever pulling this, discussing it. It was a one-off album that just kind of happened. Now, the reason I have 3 formats is back in the day when I got out of vinyl and got into CDs, that album wasn't immediately available in CD, and at some point I picked up a cassette. Because to me, this would have been the next edition, because no pops, no cracks. You got the cassette. Picked this up at some point in a thrift store. Had it for many, many years. But then when they did have the CD out, I did get the CD. So I've had this for who knows, even more years. Yeah. So that one I have 3 copies, 3 editions of. Everything else that I think I have 3 editions of, I'm pretty sure I've shown, because it's most recently something that's been acquired most recently. Now, looking back through the limited number of, I don't really buy cassettes. I have no 8 tracks on hand. Mostly all CDs and records. The few cassettes that I do have in my cassette case, the reason I have them is because, again, they've never had an official release on CD. So back in the day, I kept them. One such album is Ulf Christensen's In My Dreams. Ulf who? You have no clue. I know. It's, he is the lead singer for the band Jerusalem. This is his 1982. I believe this was his first solo album. He's done a couple since then. But this is his first excursion out from the Jerusalem camp, and I just fell in love with this album. It's all over the place, rocky, poppy. It's just interesting, and I remember somebody introduced me to this probably around 85 or later, and I fell in love with it. So that when I first got back into buying vinyl 6 years ago, I almost immediately ran out. This was one of my, top albums I had to buy. And I got it, and I believe I got, at one point I had 2 copies because I found an upgrade copy. And I believe I passed that on to somebody, I'm pretty sure I know who, but I'm not going to name names in case I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure that I passed on that second copy. This is a 1982 original Lamb and Lion. These albums have never been reissued, I don't think, unless Ulf is in Sweden. Maybe he's done something over there that I have totally off my radar. But to my knowledge, this early solo album has never been reissued on CD in any kind of official reissue capacity at all. He's had a couple other ones since then that I have on CD that came out during the CD realm. But yeah, Absolutely love this. Actually, okay, sorry about that. I just realized, yeah, it's never been reissued on CD, but I do have a CD copy. Haha. Anyway, this is just a CDR. Okay, and it's got off Christensen, the album on one, a whole album, and then extra bonus tracks of Jerusalem. At the time when I made this, so I sent the record off to a company that will make a high quality, you know, remaster it on CD for you, and that's what they did. It's a high quality, burning it from, you know, vinyl to CD. At the time this came out, Jerusalem's music had been reissued for the first time on CD as twofers. So they had 2 albums per CD, per CD, and each time they did that, one track from each of the 2 albums had to be dropped in order to fit them on a CD. So what I did here is I have 1, 2, 3. I have 3 or 4 of the tracks that were missing from those CDs. They've since been reissued with all the tracks, but back then, this would have been in the 90s, those were not on CD, so I did that. So there you go, it's a CDR, but I have a CD, so that's 3 formats, that's three, but it doesn't really count. The other one here, again, probably never showed this before, Hank Locke Band, Life and Death. Hank Locke, I forget where he's from, Illinois, somewhere up there, but this is Toonsmith Records, late 70s, early 80s label. Early Barnabas was on here, some other bands. I basically, if I see something on Toonsmith, I'll buy it just because it's like early, hard to find stuff. And I don't think hardly any of this stuff, I don't think anything on Toonsmith has really been released on CD. Barnabas has, but so many great bands that did one-offs, two-offs. He actually did 3 albums. This is probably my favorite of the 3. This is his second album. Hard rock, just kind of a hard rock sound for the early 80s type stuff. Actually, this is Chris, the drummer from Barnabas, who was also on Toonsmith label. So anyway, he appears on here. And yeah, I discovered this album in the early 80s, loved it, and I do have a cassette of that for the same reason. It's never been released on CD, so I bought the cassette back in the day when I got out of vinyl, just so I have something that's, you know, a little closer to CD quality as far as, you know, pops and cracks. There you go, Chris, 3 albums that I'm almost positive I've never shown, and a couple of them in multiple formats. Anyway, join the contest, link below, check it out. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll be back. Rock on and rock hard.